What if you had a piece that just would not work no matter how much you tried to push it? What if you tried to push it anyway? The piece that's on the screen is one that I abandoned the coloring of and decided to start over. So welcome back to the Night Garden. I am VampireAntihero and I'm here to talk to you about art today. And I wanted to particularly talk about the thought of a sunken cost fallacy. As artists, it is so easy to fall into the trap of this weird pressure to finish every single thing that we start, or to push a piece to the furthest that we could possibly push it, and then we fall into these slumps. Why can't I draw? What is burning me out? Why don't I want to work on this piece? Why does this feel like it's draining me? And sometimes the answer is to just trash the piece. It's not working out, let's redo it, or do a different idea. Let's kind of just let it fade away. But what if you just can't let it go? What if this piece is something that you have been inspired to make, that is extremely motivating, and just something is not working for you? Maybe there's something that you can do better, or something that you've realized you cannot bridge the gap from where you stopped, but you can get there if you restart. So the reason why I decided to redo this piece is because the way that I was trying to color it was taking me forever. It wasn't really coming out the way that I wanted to. So I completely scrapped my colors and went, okay, I need to restart. I have a great basis here for my line work, my sketching, so let me push this in a different direction. And I only kept a small chunk in the center. I kept the chunk of the little spooky shadow that's in the center of the mirror. I did not trash the first version of the colors right away. I worked about 4 hours on these colors, and it took me quite a while to get to that point. And I was looking at it and I went, this just isn't working. So I closed the program, I took a step away, and I let it sit overnight. And whenever I start feeling like this, I do this, because if I come back to it the next day and I still hate what I've done, then that tells me, okay, I've let it sit, I've let it cook, I don't think there's a way that I can save this. So I trashed it, and I looked at my reference a little bit, and I was like, okay, how can I approach this a different way? Originally, I started this painting with a transparent round brush. This is something that I use a lot in my work, and sometimes I tend to forget that I can't start with that, right? It winds up taking way too much to build up my colors, and I can't just get the results that I want right away. And one of the things that I am trying to work on in my rendering is something called brush economy. So getting the most out of one brush stroke, making it so that things take me less time to make. And so where in the first one, where I was focusing on just building up values and things like that, the second one I started with a flat color and just made shapes, and I focused on my shapes more than I focused on my values. And I will say that this sped up footage, the entire footage is about 5 hours. If I had tried to do something like this even 3 months ago in that amount of time, I would say you're crazy. I wouldn't be able to do it. But talking about that leads me to my point. The whole idea behind making artwork, behind writing, behind doing something creative is solving problems. You are looking at the best way to show what you are picturing. You are looking for the best way to describe a scene. You are looking for the best way to connect to other human beings. And that is something that we get better and better and better at doing as we practice. And once you get good enough at a certain thing, it can get really easy to lose sight of why you started in the first place. When you're a creative and you're good at what you do, there's this weird paradox that you hit at some points where you feel like you can't make anything at all. You are sitting there going, man, Everything that I do is not good enough, but everything that I do is something that I should be able to do. What's going on? And there are other creatives who have talked about this. It's hitting plateaus. Jeremy Vickery calls it the dead marshes of art. And I find that the best way to break out of it is to just experiment. Do something different from your workflow. Do something that is new, exciting, something that you enjoy doing. This particular piece that I'm working on, it was originally just going to be a perspective study of a bathroom. And one of the things that I struggle with in my own art is making things look scary, making things look dark, making things look grungy. And this reference photo was really good at portraying that. And that was part of the reason why I decided to say, you know what? Yeah, let me start over. Let me try this again. Because I was inspired by that grime. I was originally going to just let this be a perspective study. I was going to do some light rendering and kind of just leave it mostly graphic. But I wanted to push it. I wanted to see how I could get to a point of where I was actually happy with it. And the only way that I was able to do that was by saying, okay, let me trash the 4 hours of work that I did on this before. Let me not consider this so very precious that it cannot be altered or changed. And that is something that I think is the best thing I could have done for this piece. Sometimes the best thing that we can do for ourselves is to take a break. Take a break when your perfectionism comes over and says, oh, I'm not good enough to do this thing. Take a break when you've been working for 4 hours without one and definitely need to stand up from your PC screen or your sketchbook or your whatever you're doing. Make sure that you take care of yourselves because you always do better when you take a moment to think and when you look at things with fresh eyes. So with that, I'm going to let the music fade up and I will be back at the end of the video. So this is the end result. And here are the two side by side. I know this is a little bit different than what I've been doing recently on the channel, but I am trying to get back to doing things in a more teaching kind of light and do tutorials and art talks a little bit more. So I hope that you enjoyed watching this. And as always, changelings, I hope that you take care of yourselves. Drink your water and do what you can. I love you all.